Sami Focarino is an event marketing manager with 6 years of experience working with global software companies. Her experience includes strategizing and managing national and international trade shows, conferences, and summits. Sami has helped organizations grow their event strategy and build brand awareness through both virtual and in-person events. Sami currently serves as a senior events manager at Consensus, where she manages the largest events in pre-sales, Demo Fest, as well as having implemented a live global event strategy. In her off time, Sami enjoys cooking and spending time at the beach with her dog, Milo. Welcome to Eventus 365, the podcast that's all about corporate events and the magic behind the scenes. I'm your host, Yanique DaCosta, and I am excited to take you on a journey through the world of corporate events. But before we dive in, let's talk about the stress of creating marketing material for your events. We all know how tough it can be when deadlines are tight and resources are limited, but guess what? YKMD Visual Communications has got your back. Our design firm specializes in working with corporate event professionals just like you, and we're here to help take the stress out of creating stunning graphics for your event. Our team of expert designers can deliver custom brand compliant designs in just 12 hours. So whether you need branding, signage, marketing materials, or anything else, YKMD's got you covered. Okay, now that that's done, let's start the show. Well, Sami, we're on this thing. This is Eventus 365, where we talk about all the things and do the things. So I'm going to dive right into it. What were you doing before you made your way to Consensus?
Yeah, so before this, I was doing events also at a software company. And it just really passionate about it. And kind of what made me make the jump from that role to this role was just needing something new and needing to progress my career a little bit. But what really got me into events as a whole was college. And I started as actually a theater major and ended up joining a sorority, and I wanted to get in some leadership positions. So they were like, you should try the events role. And I was like, okay. So I did events for my sorority and I absolutely loved it. And it kind of kickstarted that career. And so I ended up actually picking up a minor in event planning management in school. And that really got me excited. I got my first internship at an event in an events department of a software company. And yeah, just the ball kept rolling from there. And I knew that I wanted to do something in like corporate America, but I didn't want to just do sales or something. And so events was perfect for me. I kind of get to use my creative side a little bit, but also have like that job security that comes with, corporate America a little bit more than, like other event options like weddings or stuff like that. So, yeah.
So as you were talking, I was like, oh, look at us having things in common. So I was in a sorority. And I mean, outside of being in a sorority, like a formal sorority, I was also in this scholarship house. It's called the Business and Professional Women Scholarship House. And I was the event coordinator there. And
oh my gosh.
And I think I kind of forgot that until you were talking. I was like, oh yeah. I really need to update my About Me video as I'm saying this. Okay, so what aspects of event marketing are you most passionate about? Because I know you transitioned from a marketing role, like more specifically to like event marketing. So what makes you most passionate about event marketing?
Yeah, good question. I love being in front of people. And so I think there's a lot of aspects of marketing that, are just the back end and analytics and maybe like creating content where we're doing a lot of things on social and that kind of stuff. I really like working with people. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of events is I get to work with so many different people within the company, outside of the company, our clients, our prospects, there's so much that goes into events. So I get to work with our content people. I get to work with our salespeople, I get to work with our customer success team. I get to work with all of our speakers, hotels, like so many different people involved in the creation of just one event, right? And I really love that human connection. I also love the aspect of being able to bring events to life in terms of just, virtual events are so great, of course, but also bringing them in those in-person events and really getting that live in-person connection and creating that for other people as well. I love it. I love to help create it for others. And I think it's a really important aspect of moving the needle forward in a company is just getting in front of people.
Okay. So I it's weird because I love working in the event space for some similar reasons, but not because I'm a people person. People think I'm a people person, but like I can be alone for a long time and not notice happily. Like my thing is really just about being able to like solve dynamic problems
Mhm.
and to challenge myself on a daily basis. It just so happens that in the midst of that, I'm interacting with a heap of people.
Sure.
And one of the problems to solve is how to effectively communicate with these people to actually effectively solve the problem. Um,
Mhm.
so I think we have some commonality there, which I love. So switch gears real quick. You have Demo Fest happening in Dublin in September, and then London in October. And I need everyone to understand what this is. What is
Yeah.
that?
So Demo Fest is our largest event. It is the first and largest pre-sales focused event globally.
Yeah.
So we've done virtual Demo Fest for the past 3 years, and this will be our 4th year. So that event is happening in May. It's a 3-day long event. We do it in like the mountain time zone, so it kind of like can reach a lot of more global audience. People from all over can join at some point. We also record all the sessions and post them later so people can always view them. And then our Demo Fest X events are basically kind of like a play on TEDx, so extensions of our virtual Demo Fest
Got it.
that we bring in person. And so this year we're doing 4 of those. So our first one is actually next week in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Demo
I
Fest
saw.
X, yeah, West Coast. So we're really excited about that. And then, as you mentioned, we're doing Dublin in September, London in October. And we're also going to be announcing this week that we're going to be doing an East Coast event in New York City in November. And
Nice.
so these events, like I said, they're pre-sales focused thought leadership. So it's not necessarily about consensus at all. It's really about elevating the pre-sales role and buyer enablement, which is a very underrepresented a lot of times organization like role. So you see thousands of sales conferences all over the place, but if you research pre-sales conferences, you will find that they are few and far between. And so last year, our virtual Demo Fest had almost 5,000 registrations. We're aiming for a number above that this year. And then our in-person events range anywhere from about 100 to 300 attendees, depending on the location.
Wait, Sammy,
So,
we gotta run it back.
yeah.
I pre-sales events, admittedly, right? I'm functioning from a really ignorant place. And I don't know how many other people are not. Help us understand why a pre-sales environment or a place where that supports that kind of workspace is important. Like when people go to Demo Fest, what are they expected to leave with? What are they expected to understand? Like what is the journey you're taking your attendees through?
Yeah, sure. So pre-sales itself is wildly underrepresented because it's most often unknown. Like a lot of people don't know what pre-sales is. Some pre-sales people don't even know that they're pre-sales because it's a very new role in a lot of organizations. It's basically the role. It doesn't happen necessarily before sales, but pre-sales are the folks that know every single intricate detail about the product that they are selling. And
Oh,
so they're able to give very really intricate demos, right? They are pulled in on a lot of sales or expansion opportunities at organizations. So
yeah,
if you think of companies like Salesforce, they have a really intricate product, right? And so
sure.
somebody has to know every
All
single little
the
detail.
subject matter experts, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So exactly. Subject matter experts. And so There's a lot that goes into our events. Some of like the topics that we like try to focus on are kind of like the sales and pre-sales relationship, like kind of what that looks like, pre-sales metrics, how they should be scored in their organizations. We talk a lot about buyer enablement, which the CEO of Consensus, Garen Hess, actually wrote like the book on buyer enablement. And kind of how enabling your buyers is the new way to sell, right? Instead of focusing on sales, you really need to focus on how we better enable our buyers to buy. His book is called Selling is Hard, Buying is Harder. So it's really interesting industry to be in. And really cool for us to be able to offer these folks who they really do need separate trainings, right, from just salespeople, because they need those sales skills, but they also need their industry knowledge. They need knowledge about their product, right? And presentation skills as well, because they're going to be doing a lot of these demos and things like that.
My favorite part is when the tech guys go like heavy into jargon and people are like, well, what does it do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that's what pre-sales people really need to focus on, right? Is just bettering their skills. And so since there's not that many pre-sales conferences out there, we're really the first and again, the largest. So we have almost, for our virtual event, we have over 50 speakers that come and present all types of content focused on pre-sales alone. And it's a really exciting place to be. People get really, really excited. When we first brought our live events last year was the first time we did live events, and the response we had to these was overwhelming, especially out in Europe. Shout out to all of our people in London, and we really appreciate you guys, but it was an overwhelming response. We ended up having to like close registrations for the event because there was just, we couldn't fit all the people that kept registering. It was crazy.
I love that for you.
I know, it was great. And so this year it's going to be way bigger. We're really excited about it.
It's even more interesting because, like generally like event planners, they have registration open with a margin of error that some people aren't going to show up. So if you're at the point where like, you're like, all right, we can't even,
exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know one of the things, like, we know when I was doing my little, deep dive, creeping around on the internet, trying to find out things about you. Like, I know, like, I was kind of like, and this is, graphic designer syndrome. I was like, oh my gosh, these are some killer graphics. I'm not even really sure if this is meant for me, but I was like, I want to attend. It seems cool. Like, why? like how, like when you guys are putting together like your marketing material, your graphic assets, like how is that happening?
Yeah, so we have an amazing team here at Consensus. So we have a graphic designer. His name is Cord. He is absolutely incredible. Every time he sends me a graphic, I'll like submit a request and he'll send me something. And I'm like, Cord, you just keep blowing my mind every time. He's so talented. And so we're very, very grateful to have him. And we also have a content writer, Brittany, here, who helps me draft, all of our social posts. We post for every session at every event. We do tons of email marketing. We do social marketing. And so it's really a big team effort. It's definitely not all on me, which is awesome. And I'm really grateful to have the team that I have here to help me do all of those things. But I love that you shouted that out because I absolutely love our graphics.
They're honestly amazing. And so like when I used to work in corporate America, right? Like, especially like around event time, we are inundated, right? And then like, even like our department, it was shared by like we were shared by like the entire company. And so the event's still coming and it's like, and then there's still like other things going on. Like, do you guys ever like outsource and get like additional help that he can like lead and like get those resources? Or is it just like, he is the champion of the things?
He is pretty much the champion of the things. Yeah, we haven't had to outsource. He has been pretty much on top of all of it. He does obviously not just our events graphics, but all of our graphics, social graphics. We put out a workload and compensation report every year that is like
heavy.
I want to say it's like 50 pages, and he designs all of that. He's really incredible. And again, Brittany, our content writer as well, is just like on top of so much stuff. We have continued to grow over the past couple of years, like if you were to look at it in a chart in an exponential way. And so there's been a really exciting growth here at the company, and everyone's been able to keep up with it, which is really awesome.
And that for me sounds like you guys have like some really great systems and processes in place, because you can't really scale if you don't, right? Like you would have had to have a really great handle on it before, so that when that influx comes, like it's not overwhelming and like you can still execute things for still on time. So that's what I heard anyway, and I love that for you. Because like
definitely.
I really noticed it. It was like it was clear. It was like, oh, this is good. Okay. So switch gears real quick. Tell Cord I said he's amazing. What are some key considerations when developing like a live event marketing strategy, and how do you ensure that your events align with like broader marketing goals and objectives?
Yeah, really good question. So we did a lot of research. Last year was obviously our first year. And so that was kind of like a test for us and seeing where we should go, right? That's pretty hard to decide. I mean, we are a global company. We have clients all over the world. And so where are our clients? Where do they want to see us? And it's really interesting because if you look we always look at the data first. So, we kind of go based on where we see our clients are, where our prospects are. And so last year we started in Utah, which is where we are a fully remote company, but like our home base is technically in Utah. And so we decided to start there. And then we did Silicon Valley, we were in Palo Alto, and then we did London. And we were really, expecting Silicon Valley to be really good for us. We kind of went to London because we know that there's a big pre-sales presence there. There's a lot of, obviously a big part of our ICP is software companies. And so we definitely want to see, where are the software companies, where are the pre-sales people. Pre-sales role itself is very hard to track, because you'll notice if you do any research on pre-sales itself, most people don't have pre-sales in their title. Most titles you're looking at solutions engineers, solutions consultants, things like that. And again, there's a lot of roles that are titles that we don't even know to track. And so it's kind of difficult to gauge where these people are. But we kind of did that based on our database. We did a little bit of research ourselves through ZoomInfo and LinkedIn, Sales Nav, all that good stuff, and try to kind of get down to where it was. We did see our events in the States, both the Utah one and California, were successful. But the London one blew us out of the water. Like I said, we planned to have 100 people in the room, and within I want to say 2 weeks, we had over 200 people registered, and we were like, oh my gosh, 911, we need to pause and calm everything down, and we had to put people on a wait list. It was crazy. And so we saw a really big desire for pre-sales events in Europe. And so that's why we've decided to expand our European strategy this year. We're going to be in both London and Dublin. And then we saw a really big desire this year for some East Coast events. We kind of did 2 on the West Coast last year and none on the East. So that's why we're going to be doing 1 on the West and 1 on the East Coast, and kind of try and draw on those people. I don't know if I fully answered your question. So let me know.
No, I think that's fair. Because you're really talking about the objectives of the business, and then kind of going where there is demand. So I think you definitely did answer my question. But circle back, I know this started from a virtual place, and now DemoFX X. But what are some of the biggest challenges that come from trying to scale a virtual event into an in-person event, and how have you been addressing them?
Yeah, good question. So one of the things that we've seen a lot of success with our virtual events is, first of all of our sessions are presented live, which is very Not a lot of
It can
places do
happen.
that.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work, but it's definitely worth it. We basically are giving all of our attendees access to all of our speakers live and in person. So they'll present the material, and then they usually save a little bit of time, at the end for Q&A. And there's something really special about that. We also have never paid for any of our speakers to speak at DemoFest X or virtual DemoFest. So none of our speakers have ever been paid in any way to participate in the event.
It's like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so there's no transfer of money either way. We don't pay them, they don't pay us. And so we're really just choosing our speakers, based on merit and like if we feel like their content is really relevant at the time. And I think that has done really well for us in the past. Scaling the events, just to be honest, it really happens naturally. Obviously, we put in a ton of work on our side to do as many promotions as we can. We really like to get our speakers involved in helping us promote those events to their networks as well. But like I said, there's just so much desire for these types of events. It hasn't been hard, yeah. And that's a really awesome place to be in as an event marketer, to not have to, pull teeth to try and get people to attend our events.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Circling back a bit, I think we could dive deeper into what the real translation is from like a logistics perspective, from the virtual version to the in-person version, because there are lots of things that happen in person that you didn't have to think about online. Like,
for sure.
Like, does anybody have an iron for the speaker? I don't know. That's right.
Yeah. No, for sure. And virtual and in-person events are so different. I actually think virtual requires a lot more logistics. Surprisingly, you'd think it's the other way around, but for those virtual events, you have, well, for us at least, it's a larger event, and so we have more speakers, more sessions, and all of those people need to fully understand how to use the platform. And so there's
God forbid if one of them is in a tornado and
yes,
life.
And that's happened before, last minute, some people, and that happens at live events too. Last minute, somebody can't come, and
but you also have time. You have a little bit more time. Like sometimes, like virtually, it's like 5 minutes before they were just here for the audio check, and now whoop.
Yep, totally. Yeah. So you definitely deal with a lot more just stuff last minute, like you're saying, like technology issues are going to arise, and so you have to just be prepared to jump in at all times while that event is happening, and just stay on your toes and be able to like just fix issues as they arise. And again, since our virtual event is a lot larger, there's just a lot more promotion that goes into it. We have much bigger goals for that virtual event in terms of registrations than we do for the live events, right? And so there's a lot more work on that end of just doing those promotions and trying to get people to register for the event. And then, of course, trying to get them to attend as well. It is hard to try and get, like, what is the value add of a virtual event, right? Especially at post-COVID, as people are tired kind of coming online. And so the content really has to be there. There really has to be some exciting stuff. We do kind of like a raffle. We're going to be doing this year, something we're adding is like gamification of the sessions. So however many sessions you attend and how many session surveys you fill out, if you post on social media, if you join our Discord community, all of these things will get you points, and then you can win prizes in the end. And so it kind of just adds a level of engagement to the events, other than just joining a Zoom meeting and watching someone talk. We also really encourage our speakers to leave time at the end for Q&A, or even make their sessions engaging so that the audience can participate throughout. Maybe they're asking polls, questions, or they're chatting with people through the Q&A box, and just really trying to make the event as engaging as possible. And then for our live events, we're kind of doing the same thing. Like I said, there's so much excitement around live events coming out of COVID that people are just so excited to get back in person and be networking. We've seen a lot of desire for networking. And so we've actually expanded that value out of our events this year to include like a networking happy hour after, just to really focus on that. While the thought leadership and all that good stuff is, of course, probably the main reason these folks come, the networking is just such a huge value out of these events, getting to meet people in person from the same industry. And we've also seen a lot of success with like panel style sessions and really just giving the audience access to these leaders in the industry and asking them, what their best practices are on certain topics and things like that.
So as you were talking, and I came into my head like 3 times and I had to write it down because I was like, I don't want to lose it. So where are funds exchanged? Because you're not paying the speakers aren't paying you. Like, where is the investment made and by who?
Yeah, so that's totally on Consensus. So that is all us. We pay for everything ourselves. And the reason we do that is because, again, we really like that we don't pay anyone and nobody pays us to be a part of the event. It makes it real. There's nobody paying, so nobody can pay to be a part of it. And therefore all of the content is valuable and there's no sales pitches. These events are meant to help create a pre-sales community and help other pre-sales people meet pre-sales people and further themselves, their continuing education and their careers. And that we've seen, like I said, a lot of like really good success with that. There was something I was going to say and I just lost it, but yeah. So tell me the question again and maybe it'll come back.
Maybe I'll phrase it a different way.
Okay.
If I want to attend, how much do I have to pay?
Oh, nothing. You pay $0. All of our events are free to attend. So again, yeah, there's no transfer.
I am blown.
Yeah, in any way. And so, yeah, so the reason we do this again is to help create that community. There really isn't a big pre-sales community out there, and it's something that these people want, and we're happy to help create that. And the thought leadership is so vital for a lot of these people. There's, like I said earlier, thousands of sales conferences all over the world, and there's one pre-sales conference, and it's ours.
I might have to come check it out. So how do you measure the success of this event then? Is it based on seating capacity? Is it based on like a post survey? Like I'm really big on just like, and I think about events like reading a book. Like you attend an event, you glean some knowledge, and then you leave and you implement. Like if you didn't implement or change anything once you left, then why did you bother to go? But
Yeah.
how do you measure the success of these events? Because it's clearly not going to be tangible in terms of dollars and cents. Is it attendees? Like, what is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing that we also pride ourselves on our events, and I think why our events are so successful, is they are not consensus focused. So even though Consensus is putting on the event totally on our own dime, we're not pushing consensus. We do offer a demo and case study session. So people can come and learn about Consensus if they want to, but they don't have to. And, of course, we're going to do some post marketing and kind of like just remind people who we are and see if they're interested.
Fully within your right.
Yeah. And people really appreciate that. We've actually gotten some feedback before that's like the first event that we did, we didn't have that demo and case study session. And people were like, oh, we wish that there was some opportunity to learn about Consensus. And we're like, oh yeah, duh. And so that's kind of why we do that now. Yeah.
Live and learn and then get love.
Now. And so measuring success is definitely based on a couple of key factors: registrations versus attendance. For those live events, we're looking to get above a 50% attendance rate.
Okay.
for those in-person ones, I mean, above a 50% attendance rate is success for us, since the industry average for conferences is about 45%. So
Okay.
anything over 50 to us is successful.
Major, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then like you were mentioning, the post-event surveys are really important. So our NPS score is a huge metric,
Okay.
right? Our net promoter score of if people liked the event or not. And so we're for that, we're looking for something over 50% as well, which is actually a pretty high metric, because NPS scores, I don't know how familiar you are with those, but the event NPS scores are generally somewhere in the 20% range. And we have seen very high numbers with those in the past. And so that's really awesome. We also are looking to get at least 30% of people who attend to fill out that survey.
Because that's the real problem.
Yeah. Industry average is between 15 and 20. And so if we get somewhere over 30, we're in a good place.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why we added that gamification this year, was really to incentivize people to participate in those surveys and get us that feedback, because we can't make the event better if we don't know
what's going on. Yeah. No, that's
exactly.
fair.
Yeah.
Switch gears a little bit. Have you ever had a mentor? And if you had, or have, or words, how has a mentor played a role in like your career development? And how have they helped you grow? And if you, okay. All right. Apparently it's time for me to wake up. That is like literally my alarm clock. Anywho, and if you haven't had one, then do you wish you did? That was a lot of questions, so
that's okay. I love it. I love this topic. Yes, I have had a mentor. It wasn't necessarily someone that I like seeked out as a mentor. But in my last role, my manager, her name was Michelle, she taught me pretty much everything I know. I mean, and I went to school for events, right? And so I learned all this stuff. I had an internship. I had another job before that. But Michelle was just so vital in making me the event manager that I am today. And I feel like I owe a lot of my career success to her. She was an excellent manager in terms of making sure that I was involved in a lot of the event processes, even though I wasn't necessarily responsible, right? She was, but she always kept me involved. She was just a really good manager in terms of making sure that I knew what I was doing was good. I think that is a really key role of a good manager, is letting your people know when they're doing a good job. And then whenever maybe I wasn't doing great, or there was something that I can improve on, she always let me know in a respectful, of course, that's really important way, and beneficial way. Like it was like, here's maybe where we can improve, and here's how we can improve, and like doing it together, and she definitely, like towards the end of that role, felt less like my manager and more like a colleague and mentor. Even though she was always my manager, we just got to that place where we worked so well together, and again, she taught me so much about how to be a successful event marketer, how to manage events successfully, and how to manage people successfully. And I mean, I really hope that one day I get the opportunity to help mentor someone else. But again, that's not really the only way to have a mentor. It's funny because I still, every once in a while, if I like think of something where I'm like, how do I do this? I'll text her, even though I don't work for her anymore, and she doesn't have to help me. Yeah. There's just like that professional courtesy there. And
almost like
I know that she's always on my side. But I do know other people that have found mentors in other way. There's always, I think LinkedIn is a great tool. And
LinkedIn is my best friend.
Yeah. And if you see someone in the role or doing something that you want to do, I think that's the best way to get to where you want to be, is just reach out to that person, see if they'd be willing to hop on a call with you. I have hopped on a couple calls with people who are like, I really thinking about doing events. Like, can you talk to me a little bit about it? Of course. I love doing that kind of stuff because I appreciated when somebody did that stuff for me. And so I absolutely love being a resource for people that are kind of like thinking about coming into the industry and things like that, just giving them tips and tricks and resume building, that kind of stuff. It's always like great to have somebody in your corner that it would give you a letter of recommendation or something like that.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, when you were talking about mentors and like, I thought to myself, I don't know, I feel like within like my corporate environment, I never really had intentional mentors. I had some tough love bosses is what I like to call it. Weren't always the nicest. You know how you were like, yeah, saying they're really respectful. Oh, there were some curse words and you'd be like, what is
Oh no.
But I think it's just as important for you as an individual to, when I say you, I mean the person receiving whatever the feedback is and however it is that you're receiving it, as much as it may be like really traumatizing in that moment, to decide that this has nothing to do with you and to remove the tone from it and accept the information to make yourself better. Because in any situation where my work environment was not necessarily like the nicest, like rosy colors, like, hey, can I talk to you? And they give advice kind of thing. I always stopped and listened to what the actual problem was, solve for the actual problem and move forward, which it kind of just sounds like I'm like a really battered emotional child. Like, it's okay, they can beat me. I'll do it right next time. But I think it's really important, at least it was for me, in order to like transition to different stages of my life and get better. So I guess that's like my additional thought there. Like, apparently, like, listen, all my devices are just going off, they're talking, they're like, Yanique, it's time for you to go. So on that note, I have one more question for you, and that is, what is one event you think every event planner or marketer should attend at least once?
That's a good question. You know, I haven't actually attended that many like event focused events. But I think that especially if you are in corporate America, whatever events that are happening like in your industry, those are really important to attend. And just kind of getting a grasp on, like, if you're looking to learn more about events, then definitely like research more events, events. But like for me personally, having attended so many trade shows in the past and conferences like for work, that's really helped shape how I plan events in the future. And I'm sure that there are tons of events that are awesome to attend, and I should be doing that. I just don't necessarily have the time and bandwidth right now. But yeah, that I think just like as many events as you can attend and the types of events that you want to plan are those events that you should be attending. And so like I've attended tons of trade shows and conferences in the past. And again, that's really helped me plan trade shows and conferences that I'm working on right now.
I think that's really good advice. And you know, I mean, I think in the event space, everybody's always inundated, right? Like the one time of year where they might get quiet, like at least in the corporate event space, is like Christmas week. And maybe Thanksgiving. And that's well, that's if you're not in retail, like like B2C world. But other than that, you're kind of like go, 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 go. Anywho, before I take us down another rabbit hole, thank you so much, Sami. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, talking to me, sharing your story, sharing how you make amazing events. And I just know that people are going to listen to this and be like, I need to hear more. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
My pleasure.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Eventus 365. We hope you enjoyed listening and learning something new today. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to help event professionals discover us. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and sign up for our newsletter for behind-the-scenes content and updates on upcoming events. If you have any suggestions for future topics or guests, or just want to say hello, you can reach us at info@eventus365.com. We love hearing from our listeners. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Eventus 365.